Welcome back, my peeps. Are you guys ready to talk about our accumulator tanks? Which are these pieces right here. One on this side and one on that side that we installed on the last couple of videos and never actually talked about what they did or how they worked or anything like that. But with my experience of them since installing them, I figured this was a conversation all by itself. For one, both those videos went up to about 20 minutes, which is more than long enough for our step-by-step bite-sized videos. And number two, I think we should knock this one off pretty quickly and give you guys a nice detailed review on our accumulator tanks actually needed inside of a van. Roll the intro. Okay, so if you tuned into our last couple videos, you'll know we just finished doing the plumbing in our van. And we installed a 3 gallon per minute pump made by SHURFLO, as well as a SHURFLO Accumulator tank. This stores a little bit of water in the bottom half, then has a diaphragm in the top that holds air pressure just to keep all your air lines full of pressure, reducing the amount of times this pump turns on and stopping from pulsating of the water at your taps. And the reason why I didn't talk about this in the last videos, A, we just ran out of time. Those videos ended up getting too long, so we had to split them up. B, because when I did run the shower, as you noticed, so when we turn this shower on, we have tons of water pressure and we don't get any pulsating at all, like zero. That pump does a really good job. Same with our outdoor shower. You will notice that we turn it on. See, lots of pressure, no pulsating at all. These pumps do a perfectly good job all by themselves. The other reason for the accumulator tank, when this tank and pump are just sitting and they're on like they are right now, in my old RVs, you'd notice every 20 or 30 minutes, you'd hear the pump come on for maybe a second or two, just boop, boop, and it would just be building that pressure back up inside the lines. And with ours, it's been hours and that pump has not kicked in once to try and rebuild the pressure. Just not a problem inside of our van. So there's only one other way that this tank could bring value to our setup that we have here, and that is it stores pressure and it stores a little bit of water inside the bottom part of that accumulator. So in theory, when we run the water for short bursts, this pump should not actually have to turn on, which would be the only added value that we're going to see using this accumulator tank, is that if you want to spray off your hands real quick or something, maybe that pump won't turn on. Is that worth it? I can't answer that question, but we're going to test it and we're going to see what the difference is. So let's start by filling them up. Now, as mentioned in my last videos, these accumulator tanks come with 0 PSI in them. So we're going to open the little Schrader valve that's on the top and test it with our PSI gauge. And it reads 100% correct, 0. So to set this accumulator pump, you're going to go to your pump's manual and find out what the turn on pressure of that pump is. So this is a 50 PSI pump, but that's how much pressure it holds. It's not necessarily its turn on pressure. The turn on pressure is once it depletes pressure, it's got to have a set point as to where it turns on to keep the flow going. Operator's manual that came with our pump. Yes, Dare's actually read the operating manual. I know, surprise. But inside this, I have to explain first things because maybe this isn't a fair test based on the pump I chose, because you'll see right here, it actually says no accumulator needed. That is this bypass style pump, which says it's not required. So maybe that's why I'm not seeing a difference. But my thought process is, we'll get to that. With this, about the bypass, so being a 50 PSI pump, the bypass is set to begin opening at about 40 PSI, which means we want to set our accumulators to 2 PSI below what that bypass is. So we're going to set those to 38 PSI. Let's grab our air chuck and our air hose. And let's add some air to it. So now you're just going to take your air chuck and fill it through the Schrader just like you would pumping up a tire. Only thing you should know is you gotta make sure the pump is in the off position and you want at least one tap open while filling this up. And it's a really small tank, so we'll get to that 38 PSI really fast. Whew, see? That quick, 54 PSI, that quick. There we go, 36 and a half. That's about as close as we're gonna get, I think. So, we'll put the Schrader valve back on, turn our pump back on. I bet you this won't even kick on now. See? Held the pressure. There's win number one. And then number two, we'll turn on our water, grab our shower head because it'll shoot all over the place if we don't, and turn it on. Again, lots of pressure. I don't know if you guys can hear that pump from here. Let's hold it out here. Turn it on. It makes no difference. It makes no difference at all. Well, I'm trying to hang that hose up while I'll hold you guys. There we go. I don't know what to say. Let's try the other side. Anyways, so we'll add pressure to this one now. It is definitely at 0 PSI. So we'll add our pressure now. There we go, we're at 37. Again, as close as we're gonna get. Turn the pump power on and then turn it on. And again, the exact same amount of pressure. The pump comes on immediately. I don't know what the point of this accumulator tank is. The only difference I do notice is that when you got this on, no pump on, and you turn this on, you get water for a few seconds. Well, it depletes the pressure out of that accumulator tank. But really, who's that helping? I don't know. Again, this pump does say, come on, stop fighting me. Close. No accumulator tank needed, and that's obviously why. With this SHURFLO 4008 RV Revolution bypass pump, this accumulator makes zero difference. Now I bought them together. I bought the pumps and accumulators at the same time as each other. And on the actual box itself, nor with on the display that we purchased on Amazon, it didn't say anything about not needing the accumulator. Probably could have been a good selling point, but I'll tell you with what we've set up here, it's irrelevant completely. So hopefully that helps you guys. Now, you could buy a lower model pump and then get the accumulator to make it run the way our system runs without an accumulator tank. But honestly, if you look at the prices of pumps, this one here was like 150 bucks, I think, something like that. So if you bought a lower model pump, which is like 80, 90 bucks, and bought an accumulator, it's still more expensive than just buying that 4008 SHURFLO pump that we bought. So in my eyes, I just want to share with you guys in a separate video that I'd just go with the pump that we bought and not worry about the accumulator. It's one less piece in your system and tra-la-la, right? So mine, it's already hooked up and set up and all that stuff. So I'm not gonna go pulling that back apart. Again, if you didn't see how we set that up, you can click the link up here or here, whichever side it's on. And I'll bring you back to that video and you can go through the whole process of how we set that all up. But for this one, I'm gonna call that our video. Short, simple, and sweet this week, peeps. And the plumbing is complete. But seeing this video was so short, we have the compressor out already. Let's grab our blowout tool and our airline again. And we're gonna show you how we blow out this whole system as opposed to using RV antifreeze when it comes time to winterize this thing. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna shut the water off from the tank to the rest of the system. And we're gonna kill the power to the pump. Once that's complete, take all the pressure out of the accumulator. One thing about the accumulators is you do not want to leave them stored for long periods of time with pressure in them. If you're going to winterize it or shut her down for a few months, take the air pressure out of that accumulator. That's what it says in the instructions anyways. Why would you listen to me? And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to pull that strainer filter, drop it down, and dump all the water out of the little basket that holds the water, and then put it back in place. Now, make sure your lines are open. We're ready to start blowing. Go to the blow off tube. Just stick our hose right in the end of that hose. Like that. And start blowing. And you just keep going until it's blowing nothing but air out. And at that point, you know you're winterized. Simple as that. no need for RV antifreeze, and all your lines will always be perfectly safe. Now, let's spend a little bit of time discussing a comment that created hours of me doing more research to confirm I'm not misleading our viewers. And that comes to the pinch crimps we used on our Pex line. These crimps are sold at Home Depot, on Amazon, all those kind of things as legit products. The comment somebody made was that these have been banned or discontinued in Canada due to problem. And I'm sorry, if it was banned in Canada, they would not be selling them in the hardware stores. There was one thing that was banned in plumbing, and that was poly B piping, but that's the piping itself, not the clamps. And that poly B was used in numerous houses across Canada, in which it finally got recalled because they were having tons of issues with it cracking, bursting, completely unexpected, causing floods inside houses, and they discontinued it. So if you go to a hardware store, you will see that you will not find poly B piping anywhere in your hardware stores. These crimps, on the other hand, you see tons of them. They're everywhere. This is the main product they sell for Pex B. You can get these kind of crimps, but I chose these ones just because of simplicity. But after hours and hours of Googling and researching, there's lots of comparisons between the Pex rings and the pinch clamps, and there's pros and cons to both, but there's nothing. I cannot find anything anywhere about these being banned. Then the person makes a comment back afterwards of, nobody uses these things anymore, Jeff. Nobody at all. But I also know a lot of the RVs I had in the past, my last one being a brand new unit at the time, which was 2019, had these exact same type of pinch clamps on all the plumbing. In my house is all copper fittings, which will be held together with solder. I can't prove it there. Can show you images when you Google RV plumbing. Majority of those photos have Pex crimps just like this on all the plumbing inside the RVs. So I don't know what to say. You guys take it however you want to take it. I did hours of pre-research. Now I've done hours more research based off those remarks, and I can't find anything proving me indifferent or wrong, and nothing leaks at this point. Everything works perfect. So I'm gonna move forward as if it's a good idea. There is one thing somebody mentioned, that on these fittings you can actually get an elbow that goes up like that, which I didn't see at my local hardware store, but now that I researched it, you can. That would have been a good idea. But I've already got the plan on how this is all going together and what's going there. So moving forward, my friends. And the last one to wrap up our plumbing wrap up is shutoff valves. So as you know, we put one shutoff valve on this tank here and one shutoff valve on this tank here. And that's because we're running two separate pumps. So the comment was, why don't you put separate shutoff valves or multiple shutoff valves so you can shut off each spot individually in case you ended up with a leak and would still have working taps. Well, because of our setup with two pumps, if this one leaked, there's no point in having another shutoff valve because this one actually only runs to the shower and the shower only. So that one shutoff valve would shut off the one item it runs. On this side, it runs the kitchen sink as well as the outdoor shower. So I could put a shutoff valve here to shut off the sink and another shutoff valve here so you can shut off the outdoor shower individually. But honestly, adding 4 shutoff valves, one for each line, would equal 8 more crimp points, which also equals 8 more places where it could potentially leak. And with this one shutoff valve we have, it would shut off both of those if there was a leak. And if we really needed water, it's the exact same water, both tanks. If we really needed some water, we could take it out of the shower tap. So that's why I have 2 shutoff valves, and that's it. That's all we needed. So there you go. Hopefully that answers that question. With that being said, it's the end of the video. So if you haven't subscribed yet, maybe consider doing so. No pressure, of course. You do you. If you have subscribed, thank you, thank you, thank you. Of course, don't forget to leave a comment below. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to see more of, and what you want to see less of. And we will see you on the next video. Perfect.